What's up, peeps? We're back. As always, I'm your host, Lee Benson. Thank you so much for joining us for our YouTube edition of the AEW Insider. We got a really great show for you. It's another special episode. This is part 3 of 4 of my top 40 greatest NES games of all time. Now, the first 20 games were excellent, you know what I'm saying, because I did pick them, but this is the nitty-gritty. This is the final 20, plus some honorable mentions, plus some fun facts about each game that I could find. Remember, if you do want to win a Le Champion AEW Unrivaled Series 1 action figure, stick around to the end of the episode. Let's get to number 20. Number 20, Skate or Die, 1988. Now, I couldn't even find a summary for this game, but what I would say, it's a bunch of skateboarding events, but they take place on the street, and it looks like it's between rival gangs of skaters or skaters and gangs, who knows. I couldn't find a fun fact about this either, but personally as a kid, I loved this game. I actually first played it on the PC, then it was ported to many other systems, and definitely is a classic and a staple of the gaming world. So I mean, it's no Tony Hawk, of course, but this was the original, the pioneer skating game, and it just has a lot of fun events. So you can play co-op or alone, but definitely check out Skate or Die. It's classic. On to number 19, Super Dodgeball, 1988. It's about a bunch of teens from all around the globe. They meet in a bunch of beautiful locations around the world for a game of dodgeball. It does feature characters from classic games such as Renegade, River City Ransom, and more. Any game made by this company and that takes place in this gaming world are great. It could be River City Ransom, River City Girls, River City Melee Brawl, and tons more. A fun fact about Super Dodgeball is that I actually couldn't find any. But like I said, it's for the same people who made River City Ransom. They made this game. And a lot of characters from this and a bunch of their other games are in it. So if you're fans of Renegade, River City, any of the ones I named, definitely check it out. Number 18, The Legend of Zelda, 1986. It follows the story of a young boy named Link. He must save a kidnapped princess from the evil and demonic Ganon, who put a spell on his lair, and they can only be removed with 3 pieces of the Triforce, a golden triangle with mystical powers. I mean, who does not love Zelda? In this day and age, I'm not an RPG guy, but when I was younger, I was. I love games like Legend of Zelda, Dragon's Quest, what have you. I will always sit down, though, and play a Zelda game. They're a ton of fun, and Link is the man. You can almost pick up any game on any system that is Zelda, and it will be a blast. A fun fact about Legend of Zelda is, this was Robin Williams' favorite game, and he even named his daughter after Princess Zelda. Another fun fact about The Legend of Zelda is the famous gold cartridge. Back in the day, they used to have a couple copies that were made out of gold. Actually, a lot of us had those copies, but right now in this day and age, a lot of us do not, and they are worth a lot of money. Number 17, Top Gun, 1986. The idea of the game is that there are 4 missions to complete, starting off with the training mission before progressing to the real meat of the game. Shooting down planes in the sky, landing on aircraft carriers, destroying enemy aircraft carriers, and also blowing up enemy space shuttles. This game was a blast, but it was another one that was so hard. I love the dogfights, but my favorite part and hardest part was trying to land your fighter on the deck of a carrier. At the end of each mission, you would have to do so. Talk about hard. Holy hell was it so hard. If you have not tried it, get this game and try it, and good luck with all that. A fun fact about Top Gun is, the real Top Gun school imposes a $5 fine to any staff member that quotes the movie. Number 16, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, 1987. Little Mac, a 17-year-old fighter from the Bronx. He's actually ranked number 3 in the minors circuit. He works his way up through the ranking so that he can challenge Iron Mike Tyson to a dream fight. Now, I don't know what any boxing promotion lets a 17-year-old fight, but I'll suspend disbelief because this is an awesome game. Everybody and their mother also had this game. The opponents you faced were unique, they all had their own gimmick, and they all had their own weakness. To a blind eye while playing some of this, it would feel impossible to beat. But all you have to do is just be patient, wait for each player to give their tell, aka their sign for an opening, and lace their asses up and destroy them. It's good times, peeps.
A fun fact about Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is the original Mike Tyson's version of the game is somewhat a collector's item. It was pulled from the shelves pretty early since Tyson's contract with Nintendo expired. It is not because of his rape charge as many people would think.
Number 15, Double Dragon 2, The Revenge, 1988. Taking place a year after the original game, Marion has been murdered by Willie, who's the big boss of the Black Warriors. Billy and Jimmy Lee are now looking to avenge her death. As a kid in Jersey, I used to play the original in the arcade, and I loved it. You could not imagine my joy when we got to play it at home on the NES. Then they made this amazing sequel. Double Dragon 2 was up there with some of the greatest two-player beat-em-ups ever, such as Final Fight and Streets of Rage. A fun fact about Double Dragon 2 The Revenge is, each port of the game is different to each other. The Sega Genesis version is the closest to the arcade version, but fans vote the SNES version as the most popular. Number 14, Ninja Gaiden 2, 1990. An evil emperor named Ashtar, after hearing about Jakku's defeat, devises a plan to take over the world and engulf it in darkness. He's going to do that with an evil sword called the Dark Sword of Chaos. Now, this was another hard game. This, the original, and the third were hard as heck, but they made it fun enough to keep coming back for more. It was so awesome to be a ninja and get to use the ninja abilities in the game. This and Shinobi were the ones to play back in the day. A fun fact about Ninja Gaiden 2 is, for its time, Ninja Gaiden 2 featured a striking amount of blood and violence, especially considering Nintendo's practice of censorship at the time. Such scenes included were the dripping of blood of Ashtar's sword, the pool of blood expanding from Jakku, and frequent use of realistic firearms. Number 13, Battletoads, 1991. The Battletoads, Rash and Zitz, embark on a mission to defeat the evil Dark Queen on her planet and rescue their kidnapped friends, Pimple, the third member of Battletoads, and Princess Angelica. Now, whoa, hold the phone. During this list, I have talked about hard games, and I kept saying there's one on this list that is even harder than them all, and we will get to it later. Well, peeps, this is it. This is the hardest game that I've ever played in my life. Even though TMNT for the NES, Mega Man 2, plus a slew of others were super hard, none of them were harder than Battletoads. They are remaking it soon, and I hope they do it justice. A fun fact about Battletoads is, it's often regarded to be the hardest NES game of all time, let alone the hardest game ever made. And like I said, I do agree. Number 12, Contra, 1987. A terrorist organization named Red Falcon declares war on humanity and tries to take over the Earth. Two soldiers, Bill Reiser and Lance Bean, are sent to stop the Earth's destruction. Come on, peeps, who has not grabbed a buddy and went at it in Contra or one of its many sequels? A great side-scrolling and at times over-the-top two-player co-op shooter. You had great level designs, enemies, and definitely awesome bosses. Before you pick up its sequels, make sure you check the rating for it. Contra is legend, and it has a lot of great sequels, but there also were a lot of stinker sequels out there, so beware. Right now in the PlayStation Store, they are selling 10 of the Contra games, including this one, for just $5. So grab it, grab a friend, and go blow some shit up.
A fun fact about Contra is, in the Japanese version, the game starts with a brief intro showing the events occurring before Bill and Lance set foot on the island. Before each level starts, a map shows your current position. At the end of the levels, Bill or Lance gives a brief report of their progress through walkie-talkies. I really wish they kept that in the NES version. And we also know Contra is famous for that up, down code that has been used still to this day by so many different games.
On to some honorable mentions. First up, Gremlins 2, The New Batch, 1990. The player controls Gizmo through various levels in a building, armed with weapons ranging from genetically modified super tomatoes in a laboratory to the new matchstick firing bow in later sections. The goal of the game is to reach the Gremlin control center at the top of the building and wipe out all the gremlins inside along the way. This was a great game for its time. Awesome power-ups, great cutscenes, graphics, and Gizmo, of course, but it was way too easy. I remember buying it as a kid and I beat it in 5 days. I took it back and said it didn't work and I got something else. But it's not on this list for nothing though. It's definitely worth the playthrough. Some fun facts about Gremlins 2, the new batch is, the Spanish company Topo Soft and Movie Time developed the side-scrolling Gremlins 2, the new batch video game also, being the first time a Spanish video game company got an exclusive license from Hollywood to make a video game. The game had featured Billy Peltzer using a bunch of different weapons, flashlights, tomatoes, frisbees, to dispatch of gremlin adversaries. The goal in each of the 5 levels is to locate a specific item required to see the game's good ending. And our last honorable mention is Paperboy, 1984. The player controls a paperboy on a bicycle delivering newspapers along a suburban street, which is displayed in a cabinet perspective view. The player attempts to deliver a week of daily newspaper to subscribing customers. He attempts to vandalize non-subscribers' homes and must avoid hazards along the street. How can you have a top NES game list and not include Paperboy on it somewhere? What a great game and a simple premise. I just wish they had more or better level and enemy design to it. This is one game that needs a proper remake. They tried it in 1999, but it fell flat. If you were lucky enough to play the original in the arcade, it actually had handlebars from a bicycle as the joystick. It was super cool, peeps. A fun fact about Paperboy is, there was a bug in the game that sometimes permitted the user to go past the end of the obstacle course and cause weird things to happen the next day while you were delivering papers. And finally, for part 3 of our list, we do have number 11, Shadowgate, 1987. The last of the great line of heroes and kings is charged with the task of saving the world by defeating the Warlock Lord. He is attempting to summon up the demon Behemoth out of hell. Now, this is just like the game that was on part 2 of our list that was called Deja Vu. They're kind of like choose your own adventure, unlock the mystery, or item to advance further. There's tons of way to die, and it's a great game. A fun fact about Shadowgate is, the game is notorious for the number of ways a player can die. These include, but are not limited to, being killed by a dragon's fire breath, mauled to death by a wolf woman, falling off cliffs, being crushed by falling rocks, and there are even ways to kill yourself with the items you can find. Alright peeps, well that's it for my part 3 of top 40 greatest NES games of all time. I really hope some of your favorites from your childhood made the list. If not, definitely tune in next week for our final top 10, and hopefully they did make the list. Remember, if you want to win a Series 1 Chris Jericho action figure, you have to be subscribed to our YouTube channel. If you're not, do so now. Besides being a subscriber, pick any video, like, share, and comment. So subscribe, like, share, and comment, and boom, La Champion could be coming to your home. All right, peeps, I'll see you next week. Ciao.